Give it a sec. We're buffering.
All right, looks like we're live right now on Facebook and like that. So, hey, if you're just getting on, we'll actually wait a couple seconds. Video should play, and then some of our numbers will come up. But yeah, we're here to discuss what we're about to begin planning and executing for the residents of Maui, and see what we can do.
You got a line on the road. Oh my God. Oh, somebody's down right now. Somebody's down right now. Somebody's down. Just go there. We cannot do nothing for her. Oh my God. Oh, okay, just go. Oh, we cannot do nothing for her. What the fuck, dude? Just go. Go, people, go. People, go. Oh my God, bro. Oh, God, people, just go. Just see.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. What's going on, Trash Talkers and Gruntworks Nation, and anybody who is watching via other people's streams. Before I introduce everybody, most of you on Veteran Trash Talk know me. I'm the Big Earl. And, 3 years ago, while I was still active duty, I started Veteran Trash Talk because I knew that there was going to be mental health problems with the COVID protocols with active duty and veterans. And so I wanted to create a platform actually for myself that I could bring buddies on and just bullshit with and have a good time. And then once we got a reach, we decided to promote veteran-owned businesses, causes, and anything that we had going on. Never did I think, that all of a sudden we'd be, large enough and diverse enough to put together, a humanitarian mission. And the reason why we're able to do that now is because of some of the people I'll introduce here in a second, which when they tell us their stories, how they did things, how they got to where they got, giving people the confidence to do things, to go out of their comfort zone and actually help people and make a difference. I talk about this on the show all the time, where as soon as somebody says, hey, you should apply for this job, or hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Fear starts coming in. All right. It's a natural thing where I'm not going to do that. There's no way I could do that. No, that's not me. That's for somebody else. And so, I preach that all the time that, hey, put some skin in the game and get off your butt and do something. And so my old first sergeant buddy who was stationed in Hawaii, Mark, literally, like I said, a day and a half ago, came to El Paso and said, Nick, I want to do something for Maui. I think veterans should do something for Maui. I think we need to, really take a look at this. And so I said, yes. And I was like, all right, well, let me see who I can get together in a day. And so, and here we are. And Mark got John Jackson on here. I'll call you guys up to maybe introduce yourself a little bit. And again, the purpose of this is so that when we start our action plan and we start fundraising and all those things, you guys already know who we are and what we got going on. But we got John Jackson here. We got V coming in from Oahu, Ben Owen from Black Rifle Company, Chris. All right, so just make sure you get that right. And then we got Scott Mann. Both of these guys were guests on our shows with the Pineapple Express. And then we have Karen Costello, which some of you might recognize as VTT's life coach. I've known her since I was in Hawaii, and I completely took what she was doing with MRT and weaponized it to the best of my ability to make my soldiers more lethal, and she really helped. And then we got Mandy, Karen's friend, coming in from, I believe, South Carolina, correct? And John, if you want to give a quick introduction, I'll start with you and I'll just call you out.
Yes, thanks, guys. I'm glad to be here. John Jackson, the executive director of Stag Vets, Inc., Strength to Achieve Greatness. We're a nonprofit based out in the middle of Georgia, and I'm the founder of Comfort Farms, and we help veterans transition from the military using agriculture as a way to get them back where they need to be. I'm a seed saver, rare seed saver. I travel the world, work with indigenous communities, and I try to resurrect those stories of their ancestors and do all this for a better future.
Okay, and then we'll go down to V. Is she on?
Hi, I'm Virginia. I'm an entrepreneur here on Oahu. I actually have been working on the island of Hawaii, also known as Big Island, and recently started working with some larger farms on Maui until the unfortunate fires which happened. So since then, work kind of stopped and rescue efforts and helping efforts started. And recently I just got a nonprofit, a global nonprofit of certified dog trainers to help with fosters, because amazingly enough, the Humane Society on Maui was able to actually find homes in Maui so that dogs aren't further displaced by being sent off the island. But now we're going to they're starting to get the animals who are very severely injured and stuff. So at least they were able to create room for them. So we're just going to try to support through this program called the Pink Paw Program, behavioral issues that the dogs might present, or training people who maybe haven't been fosters before. And that's our focus. And otherwise, I'm just happy to work with the team that's been assembled here to figure out other ways that we can help, because there's going to be a lot of efforts and coordinations from helping people and logistics as well as the animals.
Okay, thanks, Virginia. And then Ben.
What's up, guys? I'm Ben Owen. I own a company called Black Rifle. We do data intelligence and digital for primarily the firearms industry. Founder of a nonprofit called Flanders Fields. It's got a pretty singular focus around veterans struggling with addiction and alcoholism. And founder of another nonprofit called We Fight Monsters, which focuses pretty much on sex trafficking and addiction here in Memphis. And I worked with Scott on Operation Pineapple Express. We got tapped into the evac out of Afghanistan very early on. We've done quite a bit of disaster relief and other humanitarian efforts just like this.
All right, thanks, Ben. And Scott.
Hey, everybody. Scott Mann, spent about 23 years in the Army, about 18 of that as a Green Beret, and, mostly working kind of remote areas, local kind of applications and building networks around that. Was the founder of Pineapple Express. That's how I met Ben. And we collaborated a lot, and as well as with John, on getting folks out, and was contacted actually by several guys who are local on Maui right now, sticking and moving at the community engagement level, asking if we would maybe help them kind of build a Pineapple-esque kind of network around what they're doing that they're calling Task Force Lahaina. So just trying to lean in here at a collaborative level and see, where we can add some value.
All right, thanks, Scott. And then Karen.
Hi, sorry about that. I'm having two dogs jump on me and some technical issues. So as Nick said, we work together at Schofield Barracks, and I'm a cognitive performance specialist. And my main focus right now is I really want to help the first responders, because I think that they're tremendous candidates for PTSD. And some of the pilot programs I've been working on with RARE, Walter Reed, Israeli Army, and also just naval warfare have been about mitigating PTSD in the moment. So when the trauma is occurring. So that's what I bring to the table, and that's where I would like to help. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Karen. And then we got Mandy.
Hi, y'all. I'm Mandy Powers. I am an attorney practicing for 5 years in South Carolina. For the past several years, I have been splitting my time between Oahu and South Carolina, and am focused primarily in consumer protection, and I think that that's my area where the people of Maui could use some help at this point in a ways sensitive to their cultural needs and prevents them from being taken advantage of, because these are some very, very trusting people, and I fear the vultures that may be upon them.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the audio on my end or yours, but yeah, we got yeah. So like the legal aspect of it and making sure that as we go through this, that we're doing things right and helping people the right way, and making sure we don't get bogged down. So thanks, Mandy. And then Susan, before I get to the man of the hour, Susan just popped on. How's it going, Susan?
Hey guys, great. Thanks for letting me back in. Sorry I had to jump off there. I'm Susan Katz Keating. I'm the owner and publisher of Soldier of Fortune magazine. I'm also a veteran. I'm very familiar with the whole PTSD piece, and I have a side hustle with People magazine, and I write about veterans issues and combat and trauma. And I was pulled into the Lahaina fires over the weekend, and I spent, well, actually earlier than the weekend, I spent 4 to 5 days talking to people in Lahaina and around Lahaina, and I heard a lot of what was going on the ground, and I was really taken with how traumatized and in need these people are. So I'm interested in 2 aspects. One, really worried about little things, diapers, personal products for the women who are like, they don't have anything, and also the first responders who, as I'm sure some of you have mentioned, are tasked with going in and they are seeing firsthand the result of this very, very high heat fire, a fire that melted metal, and they're dealing with bodies. So there are a lot of really traumatized, needy people who I think will be quickly forgotten when the news cycle goes on to the next thing. So I have a personal interest in wanting to make sure that they're okay. I've got a good platform. We've got like 875,000 people on our Facebook page, and they're good people. They're engaged and they like to help. So, and then I've also got the website. So I've got the 2 hats, like the connections through people on the ground, through my own media outlet, and then I've got a background in helping veterans. Like ran a charity that did cooking for vets at Walter Reed, or patients at Walter Reed, gave them voice activated laptops. So I got a pretty good connection in that whole realm. So I'm here to help.
And Susan, tell them about your board of directors too, because I think that's.
Oh, I've got a high heat board of directors. Yeah. At Soldier of Fortune. We've got, I'm sure you've all known of Norm Hoot from Black Hawk Down, who is.
Yeah, he's been on the show.
He's one of my besties.
Nice.
So he's a board member, and I've got Eric Prince, who's a good friend, a longtime friend. He's on the board. I've got Rick Prado, who you all know has just hit the charts with a bestseller list with his Black Ops book. And then I've got Jan Scruggs, who again is an old friend. He founded the Vietnam Memorial Wall. And then I've also got John Spencer, who has really he's forged ahead. He's written the book literally on urban warfare. So these are some cool people, and they're engaged and active also. Yeah,
super excited to have you on again like this. I will just, it's such a great feeling that, again, I'll introduce you to Mark, whose idea this was. When a Rangert Buddy comes up to you and says, "Can you help me?" It felt really good to say, "I think so." I think I can. I think I can get people together and we can do that. So Mark, introduce yourself, and then what else we have to do here, what we want to spend the time doing again is, kind of paint a picture for you that maybe you're not catching in the media, and the problems that we see we can help now, 3 months from now, 5 months from now, 2 years from now, and because this is not going to be cleaned up in a year. All right, this isn't going to be done, in 3 weeks. So again, this is just the start. Something that I said before, that Karen, when you're doing MRT goal setting, what can you do right now? This is what we're doing to start it. So Mark, introduce yourself and what we're doing.
Hey, Big Earl, thank you so much. Thanks for helping get all these folks together and be able to get out and have a conversation, collecting some resources, and start going down the road of being able to assist these people in Maui. It's a terrible crisis that's happened there, and It's just heartbreaking to watch everything. So I'm a 23-year Army veteran as well. Majority of my time was spent in logistics and special operations. So a lot of SOAR time, a lot of Ranger Regiment time, and then finishing up in Hawaii for the last 7 years, actually, where I served with Big Earl as a first sergeant over there. Also, John was one of the guys I served with at regiment. So this is just really a collection of buddies and friends that new friends that we're going to try to get some resources together. My wife still works in Maui. She'll be on a flight going back home to visit with her team tomorrow. She's been remote working and traveling back and forth for the last 5 years since we left Hawaii. So she's very close with a lot of people in the community, and it broke my heart to watch her cry, receiving phone calls. I'm getting a little choked up right now. Receiving phone calls from the folks that she works with, and they're telling her stories about, losing family members, losing everything that they have. It's just, I'm sitting here thinking, what can we do? What can we do to help? I know that there's a ton of organizations out there that's doing great things and trying to bring resources in, but we all know that in any of these crises, there's going to be gaps. And then we start looking at what gaps can we identify, gaps, and what impact can we make? If we can impact one family, that's huge. If we can impact 100 families, that's phenomenal. So I don't know, I know there's a lot of power. There's a lot of momentum with veterans. I'm really excited to get into this venture with everybody here. You guys all have some extremely impressive backgrounds, and I can't wait to see, what kind of good we can do. Thanks, Nick.
All right. Yeah, no, thank you, Mark, for doing this. And I wanted to turn it over to John, as we were talking pre-show about some of the things that you've researched about Hawaii, the culture, and things that what we can do to help facilitate that.
Hey, thanks for asking about that. So my whole point is, when I look at the people, I've never visited Hawaii, but I have Hawaiian friends, and the biggest thing that comes out of Hawaii in these people are the spiritual aspect of them. I mean, they live and breathe the earth. They are a part of the earth. Typically, when I'm looking at this, the overlay, and, from 30,000 feet, how can we help? I don't want to have this type of colonialized help, right? Where it's like, people coming in, great saviors. We really need to be focused on the people's spirit with the land, their attitude towards the rebuilding effort, and trying to keep the vultures and the jackals away. The natives there, they've kind of lost their way in a sense because of all these. Hawaii, especially this area, used to be the epicenter for biodiversity. Now there's reports that it's the epicenter for extinction of fauna and the people's land. They were not able to take care of their land the way that they want to because of colonialism, things that have been brought in, and those things have spread throughout, like the different types of non-native grasses. As we restore and as we start looking at the foundation, kind of like where I'm focused on, yes, we have our helping the people immediate needs now, but the rebuilding efforts really need to be solidified, and the caring of the people's spirit and the heart and how they feel about their culture and their traditions, and that needs to come back as hot as the fire went through the Maui. And I think, by putting our efforts towards that as the sustainable foundation for this project, we should kind of keep that as the goal, in understanding that the people have a real heart and the buy-in to do this type of thing.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, John. And again, those of you just tuning in now, and those of you watching or listening when we upload the audio, we're just introducing you to the people that are willing to help right now and that have a lot of resources and assets, so that when we do start to action and we do start to fundraise, you know who we are. You keep us at our word. We're on here doing it live. right? And see what we can do. I'll turn it over to Ben now. Put him on the spot here real quick. Ben has a lot of expertise in acting like right now, and has done on Facebook. It's truly tremendous on what he's doing, and we will have him on the show in about about a month
6
and a
weeks.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah, about a month and a half to launch this new nonprofit that he's doing and help him with that. But Ben, what do you see as something that maybe just a quick what we got going on here and what you think we can do?
So let me play Captain Obvious for a second, right? We can't really do anything from the 30,000 foot level. We got to have somebody at the ground level there. So either they need to get in this group or one of us needs to go out there. Jess and I don't know if she's on the call or if she's watching. She's texting me, my wife. We're willing to hop on a plane and fly out there if that's of any use whatsoever. But we've got to have somebody that's actually in the thick of it, preferably somebody capable of leading that is part of what we're doing right here. We can assist in every way possible, from fundraising to using our platform to elevate their voice, all of that. But we've got to have somebody that's actually there on the ground in the middle of it, whether that's us. Scott just messaged, he's got Maddie and Zane, so it sounds like we've got them. We just don't have them on this call, but we've got to have, basically the ground commanders there in Maui.
Yeah, great point.
And Scott's messaging right now. He spoke with them today, so it sounds like we've got that box checked. So the next thing we got to do is bring them in, get a sit rep of what things look like on the ground. And, the overarching goal in any situation like this, you work from the bottom up. That top-down shit does not work. We all know that National Guard and FEMA, best of intentions, things get crossed. They go sideways, they piss people off. So work from the bottom up and get everybody kind of rallied around the same cause here.
Yeah, thank you for that insight. And I think most of us agree with you. Mark and I were talking about that in a lot of aspects of, being non-commissioned officers over officers, Scott, to where, some
right. We need a first on the ground.
Yeah. And, someone's got to do the work, and get it going.
I like how you say all that after Scott drops off.
Yeah, I thought he was still on. Yeah, I know he's listening.
He's listening.
I thought he was.
Oh, I'm listening, my friend. I'm listening.
Oh,
yes, he's still on. Yeah. No. Yeah. Again, great. And again, those of you watching, this is the start of it. This is what we could do right now, immediately, to make sure that we can, one, hold ourselves accountable, and then two, get the right people in the right position. And like Ben said, gets a leader on the ground. And I know Karen's itching to get out there too. Real fast.
Like we've got people on the ground right now. What we need to do next is identify what the biggest needs are. Is it water? Is it food? Is it shelter? Is it comms? Do they need radios? What do we need most now?
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That you said radios. That was one of the things that I was told over and over again. We need walkie-talkies and we need batteries.
Okay, so and then again, anybody listening and watching, it's a free country. You can, feel free to say whatever comments you want, but please, if they're negative or they're conspiracy, that doesn't really help us at all. So we need to get things done. Yeah. So if you have if you can help, and if you have resources, we have the email on the bottom there that Chris just set up, our producer, veteransforhawaii@gmail.com. So if you can drop a link and help, we'll get you in the right direction. And then, we'll go to Karen as she introduced herself about the mental health aspect. What do you see as something that you can implement when you get there for those watching and wondering?
Well, first of all, what I'm hearing from my firefighter friends is that they're exhausted, they're dehydrated, they're emotionally wrought from what they're seeing. So, as you know, Nick, and as I worked with soldiers, there are skills that can be taught to kind of keep you in the moment, to keep you away from, ruminating, your mind going around in circles on something, and also to just focus on what needs to be done right now. So that's one. There's also, like I was talking about earlier, about eye cover, which is a protocol where you see somebody going, have you heard of Cooper's color code? Any of you guys in the military? No? Okay, I'm so disappointed. Anyhow, Cooper's color code was made by a officer in, I believe, World War II, and it just would depict different levels of stress. So, for example, when you're in the green, you're ready to go. When you start getting like orange, okay, things are getting a little iffy. Red, I'm starting to get overactivated. And black is actually, I'm frozen. It's crisis. When people go into the black, they're most likely to have PTSD down the road. So there's this simple protocol I cover that you can teach. And it's basically, you know, a 15-second protocol that can get somebody back, bring them out of the black. So that's something I would like to teach them all, so they were aware of that. And if they see their buddy in trouble, or if they're feeling in trouble, also breathing to get your activation down. Just some simple tools to have in your kit to handle the emotional part of it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Karen, to that. And yeah, we're getting a lot of messages, especially on Ben's platform on LinkedIn. They're not sure how to help, but at least I can do is pray and send money for your efforts. And then he says, I recommend connecting with a few people. So, John, if you want to throw that again in an email to us, you know, right there at veteransforhawaii@gmail.com. You know, again, anybody with any helpful information, you know, please send it to us, and then we can get it started. Is Scott trying to talk to us?
Yeah,
or
sorry, I'm in kind of a bad. Yeah. Can you hear me, Earl?
Yeah, we got
you,
you.
Scott.
Can you hear me? Yeah, we got. Yeah, sorry, man. In and
Yes.
out of comms there right here, but you know what? I'll just want to echo what Ben said. It's so important is to get the local perspective in near real time. And I just did a 30-minute podcast interview with Matty Schweitzer and his brother Zane. Matty is a veteran. Not sure about Zane, but I have to tell you guys, like, if there is, if you were to look up bottom up leadership at a community level, like John was talking about, it's these guys right here. Like they are literally at ground zero. They're in the thick of it, and they were talking about a lot of the things that the team here was talking about. The community is exhausted. They've been going nonstop. The ability because of the toxins that they're breathing in right now. They were 3 houses away from ground zero of the fire, and they're using masks that you see, you know, that folks were wearing for the pandemic. Like they are woefully ill-equipped to do what they're doing, and they're starting to also feel the strain and the crack after 8 or 9 days of this. So what I'm going to do, Earl, is I'm going to share the link to this little podcast I just did, because they did a really great job of framing what their immediacy of needs are. And I'll do that. I've started a Task Force Lahaina room in Signal. If all of us could, if you guys are on Signal, if you could just connect to either Ben or me, we can drop you into that room and we'll start building that room out. And then lastly, Earl, I will connect you to these 2 guys. I know they're running hard right now, but I think getting them on this platform where they can give local perspective would be amazing. So those are the 3 things that I'm going to do next. And I think the way that you guys are coming at this is spot on.
And one thing I want to add to that, Earl, you mentioned that somebody had mentioned donations in the comments. I want to make it super clear. I'm not trying to fundraise for any organization right this second. Flanders is not saying, give us money, we're going to get it to Maui. We want to figure out from the guys on the ground where the dollars need to go. I'm not trying to control any of that. So let's figure out where they need the money. And then when they tell us, we'll push that link out there so that it gets to the right place as quickly as possible.
To that point, Ben,
I think one of the immediate questions is, like, how do we cut through the red tape and get in there? Because I know, you know, in past experience, I got called once to go help with a school shooting in California, and there was so much red tape that they wouldn't let me in. They wouldn't let me help. So, you know, again, it's not just like we can all fly there or insert ourselves. We need someone to advocate.
And Karen, we can.
Yeah.
Well,
yes, we can.
Yeah, we can.
Susan and I are all about getting in trouble. We go way back to our Dixon Tribune days when we were in our early 20s and we wrote a story and the FBI actually raided our newspaper because the story
Good
we wrote
job.
hacked our phones.
Nice.
So,
Good
yeah,
job.
we're all about it.
Now,
Right,
before
Karen?
we can get in, we've run into similar issues like in Uvalde. You mentioned a mass shooting, and you just got to know what you're doing. You can get around that red tape usually. We don't want to become a burden, though. That's the thing. If all of us showing up out there is going to create a cluster, we don't want to do that. So it needs to all be coordinated very carefully. Make sure the right people go. We don't need just people showing up, to say, "Hey, I was there."
Right. Yeah. All right, Scott, you were going to say
trying
something.
to say something. I want to make sure we get what Scott was saying before we lose him. Scott, did we lose you already?
Yeah, I think we lost him, but we'll
No,
be
I'm
able
here.
to.
He'll be
I
back.
just was going to say
Yeah.
that.
There you go.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
going to say that those guys said the same thing about the fundraising, is that they actually have they have right now, they have to be very careful about how they advertise
Yeah.
fundraising. There's actually restrictions on that right now for them because of the interactions with FEMA. There's martial law in some places that they're saying is being enacted. So they're actually not requesting active donations right now. These guys aren't. So I think, again, getting a perspective on the resources can best be applied and get down to that's going to be the rub.
Yeah, perfect, Scott. And yeah, Ben, thanks for bringing that up as well. And like when I prefaced before we started was when in the event we start fundraising, this show is you can see who we are and what we're doing. So yeah, by no means are we actually fundraising at this moment in time. No organization is on this panel, but you guys see who we are as you're watching this today, tomorrow, the next day, and this is what we're gonna do. Like, we're gonna help. So does anybody else have?
I have one more input.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
I have one more thing to ask. Watching the media and then with the guys on the ground, I see that there's probably going to be a huge disconnect between what's actually on the ground.
Oh yeah.
What the media is pushing, right? And so as we start talking to potential people that want to give and donate, we really need to explaining to them what the truth is, because if we're going by what the media says, hey, only 93 people have died, then that it's not. Every life means something, but the call to action to be able to help, we really need to have that information on the ground to the people. As
Yeah, Debbie says that if we send boxes of clothes, is there somewhere to send it that will get to the people?
We're working on a location right now, actually.
Exactly. Once we get that going, and then again, Mark wants this, and Mark's gonna, he is more than capable of, running such operation as, he did it for his whole career, for the most part. And again, it truly means a lot to me that all of you came on here, and it means so much to me to have been able to meet people of action, as opposed to, like we talked about earlier, a lot of people saying things and prayers and wishes, and maybe they'll put a Hawaii flag on their Facebook picture. But we're going to get something done, and I think all the experts that we've just had here obviously aren't going anywhere. And Mark, they're going to be able to start moving immediately. And start doing something right now. So I really appreciate it. And like I said, does anybody have anything else?
I do. I just wanted to jump in and say one strength that we have is that we can help get out the truth about what's going on the ground. There
Absolutely.
are
I
many
think
rumors. Like, we had people panicking, saying the National Guard had taken over, that they were bossing people around, and it was actually local police. So people thought police were the Guard. And I think if we can help just put a showcase on what really is happening, so that people don't get scared, that they know what's going on, they know what the situation is, and I think some of us, like Karen from my Dixon Tribune days, was like right there with me when we were chasing down Dennis Banks when he was wanted in California. So we
I love you, Susan.
Thank you. Oh man, listen, Karen and I were we were good friends.
Still are.
You make
We-
a
we
great
still-
point, though. That
We
is
still are.
a huge thing that the 9 or 10 of us on this call can do. I think between us, we probably got somewhere close to 10 million followers.
Yeah.
And getting ground truth out there that's not an insignificant thing.
Yeah, it's really important, especially when
It's very much so.
cell towers are down, and in Lahaina, I'm told you still can't get cell service,
Yeah.
but they've got walkie-talkies.
Yeah. So getting radios out there, I think, is going to be very important. And finding. So has anybody hit up? This might sound like a joke, but it's not, because we did it with Afghanistan and Ukraine. Has anybody hit up Elon Musk about getting Starlink out there to make sure they can keep Wi-Fi going?
That's a great
No,
point.
Okay, so I can get somebody to take point on that.
So there was an article recently about them getting remote cell towers out to the city.
But is that just remote cell towers? Is it definitely
Hey
give
guys,
us bandwidth for people to use the internet? Yeah.
they hey guys, when I talked to Zane and Maddie, they said that they already have ham stations set up in UHF. They're already operating under UHF, and they think by tomorrow morning their comm situation will be even better. So the comm situation is rapidly improving.
Outstanding.
And they're being able to talk point to point.
That's great. So Scott, from your conversations with them,
And just anecdotally, I know
I think we need
I
some
was saying
improvement in this
totally, I
comm
know-
situation.
people from my social
Yeah, she needs
media
walkie-talkies.
Starlink. So this is out there.
Mandy, unfortunately, you broke up a little bit. If you want to put that in the chat, maybe then we can say so.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll say it again. But yeah, great. Got somebody on LinkedIn saying great idea on Elon. As the veteran trash talk standpoint on Elon is, we think he's the greatest human being of all time, or is the Antichrist. So we're gonna find out.
it's one or the other. There is no
It's one or the other.
The biggest thing about having that Starlink is that people will be able to share their own thing on the ground and push more information out there.
Exactly. The more people we have there that are web connected, the less chances we have of fuckery happening in the media.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think
Right.
getting Mandy on Zoom or something, some way, or getting Mandy on ground to talk to these people and
Mhm.
give them legal advice, I
Mhm.
think is going to be invaluable, because they don't know what to do right now. Like somebody said earlier, they don't have insurance.
Yeah.
They don't know how they're going to rebuild their homes, and they're scared.
I agree, and I think that is a very important thing to do at some point. I think right now, probably the bigger concerns are just like clean water and medical.
Absolutely.
Hey, how do you guys feel about calling out the predators? Because I had some people tell me they had nowhere to go. They were terrified. They had only the clothes on their back, and they could only find a room at the Four Seasons, and were told that they could stay there for $7,000 a night, which I find to be absolutely
I would have said
if
checks.
that's
I would have said
accurate.
checks in the mail.
Some people were paying it. They were paying $7,000 a night
Wow.
to stay in the Four Seasons. It's just
That's disgusting.
predatory. Yeah.
The problem we're going to run into, and Scott will probably agree with me on this, if we start throwing shade at anybody, we stop being a humanitarian effort and we start becoming political.
Right.
We want to avoid the shit out of that at all
Good
costs.
point.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree
Good
with you
point.
completely,
That's a
Susan.
great point.
We we don't want to use this platform for that, because it ends up biting us in the ass.
Good point.
So if you-
Well
Sucks,
taken.
because you're going to have a very
If-
strong opinion about a lot of things on this.
If you start looking and you're watching, I mean, they do have resources out there, right? But obviously the resources aren't going to be adequate for the amount of people that was affected by this. So there's places out there that FEMA's already got some shelters. There's people that are already in some Airbnb and stuff like that. But I think our focus should probably really be the gaps of where people are just falling subject to no support. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. They don't have money. They lost everything. And maybe some of them might be, individuals that don't have a ton of family on the island. So, there's a lot of gaps to fill there. There are resources that are there. I don't know, if there's some predators out there. I'm sure there are. There's people who always want to take opportunities of bad situations. But, we want to probably aim really at just helping people that need help. We don't want nothing from them. We just want to be here to help bring you up.
So what if somebody, some leader, you guys are all leaders, breaks this into phases, like immediately? What do we want to do immediately? What's phase one? What's phase? What's phase
one for me?
I agree with that too, Karen. And I'd also say that to what Mark was just mentioning, we should perhaps consider tracking some statistics that we can gather. For example, what's the population of Maui? What was the population of Lahaina? How many people are considered missing or registered missing, so that we can identify some of the gaps and then start to prioritize.
Yeah, like with what Karen said, I'm going to lean on Ben here a lot with that one, because I think he's spot on with it. Is we got to identify, a command center on the ground.
So that's done. In the last 45 seconds, we have that. So there's a Pastor Sean who is now in the Signal group. If you guys are in the Signal group, you'll see him talking. This guy's a damn hero already. He also just happens to be a chaplain with the police department there in Maui. So we've got a law enforcement contact. We've got a command center that's able to receive and distribute shipments. He says they've just opened up the roads so the residents can come get their supplies now. And the National Guard is only restricting access to the burn area while the cadaver dogs are searching for remains. So
that's good info. That's important info. Yeah.
That is very important info. Yeah. So that was my step one, was figuring out a command center. Next is the ground commander. I think Scott has already identified. There's 2 of them we're going to use.
I think so. I think so, Ben. I mean, I think, again, the key here is to get local perspective.
Absolutely.
And in a natural disaster like this, you're going to have it from the formal institutions, which is the first responders. But then because, this is a rural community, the community is really at ground zero. So the community is all, and at least for starters, the 2 dudes I talked to, Matt and Zach, are community leaders. They're veterans, and they self-organized. So they've self-organized in a big way, and they're sticking and moving. And I think really once them into a signal room, then I think what you'll really come into focus at is informed from and just
and to piggyback on that, we just need to be here kind of as facilitators between the locals. I think it was John who talked about the culture there. We don't want to step on any toes. We're just there to facilitate and provide a platform. Mandy just mentioned that she's got people in the community with Starlink willing to share, so that helps big time on that other concern we had about communication. So really, I think it's just a matter of getting Scott. What are the names? Maddie and what? It doesn't matter. Get the 2 ground commanders.
I think you said Maddie and Zane.
Maddie and Zane. Figure out what their immediate needs are. What can we do? I mean, if we show up there, are we going to be in the way? Are we going to be providing value? What does that look like? What do they need from us? And once we identify that, then we can just hit the ground running fast and hard.
Yeah, perfect.
Exactly.
And again, if anybody has anything else, I think Mark, did you get what you needed?
Yeah, this is great. There's so many smart people in the room here right now. What we need is to figure out how we can help, and then just start a plan to get it out to the people needing it. So I'm excited to see where this goes next. And man, I can't say enough. I appreciate everybody for jumping on this last minute and getting in here and just digging and ready to get in this fight. Man, I'm excited. Thank you so much.
Dude, thanks for bringing us into this. And, like Scott says all the time, nobody's coming. It's up to us.
Just an update real quick. Pastor Sean in the group just said SpaceX deployed 75 Starlinks yesterday into the community.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
So it sounds like a lot of the more complex needs that you run into in humanitarian or environmental disasters like this are met, thank God, because that removes a huge onus from us. And if we are needed on the ground, we can actually focus on just delivering humanitarian aid rather than trying to rebuild infrastructure, which sucks.
Yeah, so I think our call to action after this is, find what their immediate needs are right now, get them there, and then let's find a way, Mark, to get Karen and other mental health experts, where they can get where they need to be as well. And if that makes sense, so when we talk to Zane and his team, if that's something, or even the chaplain, if we can, get them there. And then for anybody that wants to use our platform, I know there's people commenting, hey, what are all your platforms? If you want to use Veteran Trash Talk, Gruntworks, VTT Official, just email us, and, especially with any news information, and we will, again, like Ben said, with all of us combined, it's probably over 10 million that we can start making a difference there. So again, thank you all for watching, for your comments, and thank you all to the important people on this panel. You really made my heart smile tonight, and just knowing that there's so many people here willing to help and ready to be action. So, all right, if that's it, anybody got anything else?
No, I just put a note to the group saying, let's do a note to post to our mutual Facebook pages, and we can let our readers know what we're doing, and we can just spread the word.
Perfect.
Yeah, and hey,
yeah.
just a reminder to the panel, if you would, if you're on Signal, go into Signal and just request to connect with Ben or me, and then we'll drop you in the Signal room.
Okay, that sounds good.
Somebody's going to need to help me with that.
Well, we can stay on here afterwards when we cut the live. And
Okay.
Karen, Nick put you in a text message thread with me, so you got me at your.
Good. You got to help an auntie out.
I got you.
Hey, one thing I want to add for anybody watching that wants to help and just doesn't know how. Two things. Don't ever underestimate the power of prayer. That's first and foremost. But second, the power of sharing, just sharing these posts, the content, anything you see about this, share it, comment on it, kick it out to your network. It helps a lot. That's how we get 99% of what we do done.
Hell yeah.
Perfect.
So you can be a part of this just literally by hitting a share button every time you see these posts. It helps. It goes a long way.
I'm excited. This is great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is great. Oh, thanks, dude.
Thanks.
Yeah, no,
everybody.
thank you to all of you. All right, Chris, I think we're ready to go. More updates to follow pretty quickly, probably. We will be live again Friday and Saturday with awesome shows, and we will keep you updated. So,